I see this all the time. A backend engineer learns to call the OpenAI API. They build a chatbot. They're going to include a system prompt, and they think that I'm ready for an AI job. Then they walk into an interview, and someone will ask us, design a rack system at the production level, and how do you handle the retrieval failure? How do you measure the output quality? And how do you stay within your token budget? And suddenly, the confidence that they had built is at rock bottom and they feel that they are stuck. Now, here's the truth, guys. Companies are not hiring for your prompt engineers, they are hiring for the systems engineer who can build AI into real products. If you have got a backend experience, you're actually closer to this AI systems engineering than what you may think in your mind. But there is a gap, and I'll help you to uncover those gaps so that you understand what are your gaps are and where you need to cover those gaps so that you be ready for your transition. So let's talk about it in this video. So let me show you as what production AI system would actually look like and what you already know. So let me start by listing down the things that you're already familiar with. And trust me, this is not a magic. Some of these are actually known to you. To begin with, when I talk about a production AI system, you'll have a distributed system. You will have a service boundary. There will be an API architecture will be present. There'll be a retry logic. There'll be a fallback. There will also be an observability that will be present. There will be a latency optimization. There will be some kind of a database design. Now, all those things, if you think about it, these are actually not new to you. These are something that you are already familiar with because this is your world. Now, let me break it down as how does the production AI would look like. So I'll just dumb it down in a very simplistic sense so that you know what exactly it is and you know where the gap would exist to. Now, when we talk about RAG, think of it as just a data pipeline. You take the documents, you break them into chunks, you turn them into embeddings, and after you have generated the embeddings, you will store them in a vector database. Then, when you're working, you will retrieve them, you will feed them to your model. If you have built an ETL pipeline or a search system, that's what this simple RAG is all about. Now, obviously, there are some nuances about it, but that's what a RAG is. And when I say an agent, it's think of it as a service that calls the tool. So it is going to hit an API, it will handle the error, it will do the retry when things fail, and it manages the state across the step. So if you have built the microservices, then you have done this before in some level or in some sense. Then evaluation pipeline. So think of this evaluation pipeline as a CI/CD for an AI. So you would run tests against your model output. You will compare it with your expected output and you will catch the regression. If you have built the automated testing, then the same core idea over here when we say it as an evaluation pipeline. Then LLM reliability, it's just the reliability engineering that you might be doing it for your existing application. Here you'll get the rate limits, timeout, fallback. It's the same pattern, but a little different context, I would say, which is from a new context that is from the AI. Then context management. So here, think of this context management as a resource limit. So just like the memory in a service, you have to manage what goes in and what gets cut. That's what we mean by the context management. And prompt contracts is basically similar to your API contracts whenever you're dealing with the application which communicates in the API format. Like whenever you have two services which are communicating each other, just like you have an API contract, similarly, you'll have a prompt contract. So, bottom line over here is backend engineers, if you're a backend engineer, you're already thinking in terms of system. And when I say an AI system, it's basically the systems itself. So your knowledge in systems get transferred. So those skills that you have built about the system will get transferred whenever you are building your AI system. Now let's talk about the real gap about what exactly that is you need to cover so that you can transition from backend engineers to an AI engineer. This is something that you need to level up. So to talk about it, first thing is the retrieval layer or the retrieval pipeline. So you probably haven't built an embedding pipeline before for sure. So you need to think about the chunking strategy, embedding models, vector databases, re-ranking. Now, these are the concepts that are new to you. And if you get them wrong, then your AI or whatever the system that you have built or an agent will generate the wrong answers. So that's the importance of this retrieval layer. And second key thing is your context window management. LLMs have a hard limit on how much text that they can process. Deciding what goes in and what goes out or what gets cut. That's a key decision that you need to make. It is basically an engineering problem because this is something it affects the cost, speed, and quality. Now you might say, as the latest version of Claude gives me 1 million tokens, why should I decide as what goes in and what gets cut? Well, they'll give you 1 million tokens. You'll be billed for 1 million tokens. Think about the billing. Think about in terms of cost and think about the accuracy. If you just feed in the information LLM with the junk data, the answer would be junk, junk in, junk out. So this is an another key layer that I want you to remember. And this is one more gap that you need to cover. Third key thing is the evaluation. This is the biggest gap that I would say as a backend engineer. Most engineers, they will test the AI by looking at the output. But when we think about the production testing, you need to think about in terms of golden data set preparation, scoring function, regression test, drift detection. These are all the key gaps that you need to cover from the evaluation of this agentic system standpoint. Fourth is your orchestration. So you need to be aware about how to build an agent that works in an efficient manner. And how do you design an agent where it can recover when things fail, because that's the key and the hard part when you're productionalizing your agent system. And as and when you're designing this system, you also need to be aware about the cost. You need to be building your agentic system built around the cost, because every LLM call is going to cost you the money. You will be dealing with token budgets, you'll be dealing with model routing, caching. And as a typical backend engineer, I'm sure you would not have thought about it. But we say designing of this AI system, it requires you to think in that perspective. And I'll be honest with you, none of this is impossible. But only thing is, you actually have to build it. That's it. You don't, like, even if you read it, it will not be sufficient. You have to actually build it. Pick up any project and start building it. I'll also provide you the project suggestion as well in this video. Don't worry. So that's a key thing that I want you to remember. Now, I want you to ask these three questions for yourself. It's a diagnostic question or a self-checking question. Just test yourself with this question. The first question is, can you design a full rack system? When I say rack, you should not just describe it. It's about actual designing the ingestion pipeline, chunking strategy, vector database, retrieval layer, evaluation layer. Can you describe the RAG architecture in terms of all these components? And can you explain what breaks at each step? And the second question is, can you build a retrieval pipeline that feeds an LLM in a correct manner? That means handling the context limit, ordering the chunks by relevance, managing the token budget, making sure that the retrieved content is actually going to answer the question from the user. Third question is, can you measure your LLM quality automatically? Can you do this automatically with the help of golden data set, automated scoring, regression, and test coverage? If the answer is no in any one of these questions, then it's not saying as I'm going to figure out later. Instead, it's about this is a gap and I want to cover the gap and I want to move from figuring out to building this. Okay. That is what I want you to think about it if you're serious about transition. Because if anyone is no, if any question is no for you, it means it's not a bad thing. It's just the useful information that you just have to act upon. Now, let me give you 7 layers of this AI system stack. On the layer one, we'll have an LLM interface layer. So in the LLM interface layer, you'll be dealing with the model APIs, you'll have a prompt design, you'll have a token counting, you'll have a model routing. So this is the layer using which you talk to an AI system. Then you will have something like an embedding pipeline. So here in this embedding pipeline, you will be dealing with ingestion, chunking, embedding model, vector storage. So this is how you actually prepare the data. Then you would have the retrieval layer. So in the retrieval layer, you'll be dealing with the vector search, hybrid search, re-ranking. So using this retrieval layer, you will find the required information from your knowledge base that you have got. And on the layer number 4, we have this context management. So here you need to plan about what goes into this context window. You'll think about compression, you'll think about ordering. So this is how you stay within the limits of your context window of the model that you're working with. Then you have something called as an agent orchestration. So here this involves tool calling, multi-step workflows, failure recovery, tracing. So this is how you would actually build the AI that can take an action. That's what we call it as the agent orchestration layer. Then you'll have a evaluation framework layer. So here it will consist of your golden data set, automated scoring, regression testing. So this is how you actually validate whether your agent is working correctly or not. And finally, on the last layer, we have this observability and cost control. So this involves tracing, latency monitoring, cost tracking, alerting. So this is how you actually run it in the production. So as and when you're planning your progression, you need to learn each layer as a system and understand what can go wrong and build each one at least once. Now, that should be your curriculum as you planning your transition to AI space from the backend engineering. Now, what are the 3 projects that can prove that you can actually do this? See, what you build matters more than what you know. In interviews, it is easier to explain a system that you have actually built. Now, these are the 3 projects that I would highly recommend to every learner that will show that you are ready. The first project is the enterprise rack system. Build a document pipeline, try various chunking strategies, store the embeddings, add the retrieval with re-ranking, connect it to an LLM, add evaluation, include your golden questions, have the automated scoring in place, and try measuring as what breaks and how to handle such failures. The second project is your agent system, where you will build an agent that calls the external tools, add execution tracing, deliberately break things, and understand how your agent is recovering. If it's not recovering well, design for it, whether it is recovering correctly or see if it can fail gracefully. The point is to show that you understand the failure, not just the success of the agent system, because in the production, things break all the time. We are not going to avoid it. We design for it to ensure that when it breaks in a way that we want it to break, not simply give the crash or go into a loop. And the third project, which is an important one, I would say it's the evaluation pipeline. Build a golden data set, add the automated scoring. It can be rule based and the LLM as a judge. And make it run in your continuous integration software. Use the GitHub action. Show what happens when you swap the model. Track the quality of the model over the period of time. Now, these are the three projects that will cover the key areas that interviewers care about: your retrieval, agents, and quality. Now, when you start preparing for the interviews, what does this interviews actually look like? See, when we talk about the AI system interviews these days, they are actually closer to the distributed system interviews than the ML research. So you won't be asked about explain me the back propagation these days. You'll be asked to design a real system and defend your choices. Our questions can be something like this, like design me a rack system for 500,000 documents. Now they want to hear about the chunk size, the embedding choice, the retrieval strategy, context ingestion, evaluation, failure handling, recall rate, indexing choices. Now these are the key things that they are most interested to hear about, not your general definition of rack. Or another example that I can give over here is how would you evaluate your rack output quality? They want golden data set, automated scoring, separate evaluation for retrieval and generation, plan for model updates. Or the third one is now, how do you design for the agent that fails at step 4 or step 7? What happens in that scenario? Well, they want to know more about your partial execution, state management, retry, tracing, graceful degradation. These are the key things that they want to hear about in the interviews. Or they'll come up with a question that says as a model A is 3 times cheaper, but it is slower. Now, how do you choose a model? So here they are interested to know more about your structure thinking, that is latency budgeting, cost budgeting, quality floor, routing strategy. So what interviews are really asking for is, do you think about the failure mode? Can you actually quantify the trade-off? Because AI system design is all about answering the trade-off and designing for the trade-off. And do you actually have the real operational experience, not just posting, just real operation experience? Do you actually have it? Now, the projects are the ones that will help you to describe these systems that you have built, not the systems that you actually read about in an article. All right, guys. So if you're serious about this transition, here is the path. Learn the AI system stack, learn all the 7 layers, build the 3 portfolio projects at least, get to a place where you can confidently design a production rack system in an interview. If you want the structured way to do this, the Agentic AI Bootcamp covers exactly this: production RAG, agent orchestration, evaluation framework, deployment, hands-on, completely system, and the implementation focused. It is built for engineers who can run the real systems. The link is in the description. The transition is real. The demand is real, guys. But there's no shortcut about it. You have to build the system, whether you build it through Bootcamp or whether you self build it. The key thing is you have to build it. I wish you all the very best for your transition journey. Let me know your transition journey in the comment section. I'll be reading it. Subscribe to our channel for more such content on Agentic AI, and I'll see you next time.